Thanks to those joining us live and those who will be joining us in the archive, as D Style always says. This is HCPX. Why are we doing HCPX on Monday? Well, simply there wasn't much going on this past weekend to aftermath, right? So we're going to break down some current events. And
I
as
mean,
we
it
get
was
into
a
tomorrow,
historic women's boxing moment. Like you know what I mean? It was uplifting to women's boxing, you know?
Jake Paul coming in the tank, which I enjoyed, by the way. My neighbors wanted me to get the fight, so we got the fight and watched it and had some good laughs. And I got to tell you,
That was a clown show, bro.
Jake Paul coming in the tank, and I got to be honest too. Nate Diaz's cardio, I got to give him that, because to go 10 rounds in the first boxing match, and I know it's against Jake Paul, I get it, but I had people telling me about his cardio, and I'm watching this guy at the weigh-in, and I'm like, I don't see it. Like, he's looking like a drunk uncle. And then the first round, I'm like, oh, I'm make some money here, because I bet Jake Paul by knockout, and it just didn't happen because Nate Diaz just keeps going and going and going. So I got to give him a little bit of credit. And I wish more boxers would come into the ring, come into the arena in a tank. I'll say that.
Yeah, like Tank Davis. That should have already been done. That's your nickname.
Exactly. That would have been beautiful. That would have been beautiful.
He's just too short for the tank. Maybe that's why. By the way, really quick about that fight. I don't know, man. I was watching that, and it's such low level boxing. Like the fact this is a pay-per-view on the DAZN, I'm just it's just such low level. I don't know how else to say it.
Let's start there though. And first, shout out Nando, our guys rolling through, highly intelligent chat. Nando, Chicano Prophet, Iceman. We got my guy Bruce Gas in the building as well. Salute to D Style. And Jake Paul's the face of boxing. Shout out to the chat. Y'all make sure to hit that like button. Let's start off there. DAZN. I said this when Anthony Joshua, the fight was the canceled between him and Dillian White on, what was that, Saturday, breaking news. DAZN is very much in need of fights. That schedule is looking as lonely as the cat lady, right? It's just a lonely schedule. It is not good. On top of that, the price of the subscription goes up. On top of them promising us no pay-per-views, and now we've gotten pay-per-views. And losing Canelo will free up the budget, and they're in a point and position now. I learned stuff from people in the chat all the time, and I learned this from Nando, is don't put that hammer away. You try to nail that coffin in certain promoters and networks, and then they just bounce back. They're cockroaches. They stick around, right? We've been saying this about Golden Boy for years. He's been around for 2 decades. Been saying it about Showtime, and they're finding a different model, and more on that later, in order to survive and stay going. And I think DAZN is the same way, and Matchroom is the same way, and Oscar is going to be the same way. Is DAZN is putting pressure on them to work together on fights, right? Berlanga Munguia will be one. I'm sure they'll do it with Andy Cruz and Floyd Schofield at some point. You guys got to work together to get us fights on this network. This schedule is looking bad, and on top of that, Eddie does have deep pockets, and Matchroom is going to find a way to get American fighters, and they're going to have to overpay to do it, right? But in the short term, they have to overpay, and they're going to deliver us some fights in the fourth quarter, I do believe, and they'll stick around. But this schedule is looking atrocious. It's looking atrocious, especially with the Anthony Joshua fight in limbo right now. Because as we sit here now, we don't know if the date is going to be completely canceled or if they're going to find a replacement. What's your overall thoughts on what the DAZN schedule is looking like right now?
Look, the schedule's horrible. I mean, there's no other way to put it. And then everything that looks good is like off in the distance. Like oh, Bam versus Edwards. That's a great fight, but that's like way over there. You know what I mean? Like it seems so far away. I mean. Yeah. Even if they do Berlanga versus Munguia, it's going to be like over there. You know what I mean? And the problem is, what are they doing now? Because they don't bring that. Like, here's the problem. And I've had this issue, and I've been very consistent about this for years when it comes to DAZN, right? I predicted that their $9.99 model was not going to last. All right. And I said they would eventually go with a pay-per-view. Right. That ended up turning out to be true. What I underestimated was how brazen they would get with the pay-per-view. Right. I thought they would have like a premium subscription, like where you get the premium fights or something like that. But they're flat out just charging you a pay-per-view fight. They're like,
Right.
hey, this shit's $69.99. You want it? When we're already paying $24 a month.
Yeah.
A month. And you want to charge 65 bones for a pay-per-view event, right? And then you're going to charge us for all the little stupid KSI cards that I don't really care about. You still got to pay extra if you want to watch those. So even if you just want to kick back and just laugh at some horrible boxing or something, right? Because there is kind of something for kind of like American Idol when those guys do the tryouts and they just suck. They just kind of laugh, you know what I mean? It's kind of something like that. But not even that. Even that, you got to fork out more money. You're already charging me $24 a month, right? No, and then I get like they're so out of touch with the American market, DAZN. Like, oh, but you get darts. I don't want to fucking watch darts. like God bless whoever sits there and watches darts.
I like darts.
I love playing darts, but I don't want to watch the pros do it on my TV eating popcorn. It's just not a thing. I can literally just go play. I can go to the bar, all right, and just do it myself, or the pub. Okay, but you get that. You get cricket. You get low-level soccer. You get like just you get an ML. You don't even get baseball, but you get a show about baseball. Like, I mean, this whole thing, and then even boxing, like, oh, you get Iraq and Barack, or like those dudes don't even know shit about boxing, but you got those dudes on your network, and you charge $24.99 plus tax for that shit. So that's why I said from the very beginning, never pay the yearly subscription for DAZN, ever. Never do it. The dudes that paid it, the year subscription for DAZN, when the pandemic hit and there was no boxing for a couple months, they still got fucking charged. There was no, they didn't remove any of the money, right? If you had a monthly subscription and there was no boxing that month, they still charged people, right? I mean, this shit's crazy, bro. The whole thing's insane. And then now you want to charge for a Jake Paul fight. All I got to say about DAZN is this. They have some fixing to do. Their stream is not smooth enough. It's I don't know if I didn't experience any issues lately with DAZN, but I have in the past. They're supposed to be the cream of the crop based off what they charge. ESPN Plus charges a quarter of that, bro, and they have way more sports than ESPN Plus. Than DAZN. They charge us a quarter of that. And we've gotten Lomachenko, Haney, actually that was a pay-per-view, but all Lomachenko fights before that. Okay, the Haney Cambozas fights, the
Top Rank still has the most. Top Rank still has the model that makes the most sense, right? They're not perfect
for the consumer, yes.
For the consumer, it still makes the most sense because you get the balance, right?
You get the balance. We got to watch Inoue Fulton. We're not paying $24.99 for that app. We just aren't. Like, so at the end of the day, like, what is DAZN really doing for us? Here's what we're getting, bro. We're getting domestic level UK fights. We're going to start getting, they signed a deal with a second tier promoter in Australia. We're going to start getting second tier, domestic level Australian fights. Wow. Okay, like whatever, bro. Like, you got to start picking up the pace, right? And I get that they have to overpay, but they got to be smart, bro. Like, don't go overboard either, paying $7 million to Mike Garcia for one fight. DAZN is to bring back something. They got to bring something back, bro. Like for us boxing fans, like imagine if DAZN brought back Tuesday night fights or Friday night fights, and we understood what it was. It was we're not going to get the big names, but they got a budget and they're going to pay a lot of these up and comers, or maybe guys coming off a loss, some of the veterans and stuff.
Golden Boy sort of does that. Golden Boy sort of does that at times on Thursday nights, right? But it's not sustainable enough. It's not marketable. the way Tuesday Night Fights
I don't
was.
want a
And
promoter to do it. I want a network to do it, and I want them to like because that's how Friday Night Fights worked. Once in a while, it was a top rank card, then it was a Golden Boy card, then it was Goosen, then it was somebody else, and it was like a smaller promoter, week after week after week. All right, and just have a budget, offer money, and let's get it going. That's just one idea. Another idea, you should have just given like stop. If you're too greedy, you're gonna lose money in the long run. Just you should have just given us that fucking Jake Paul fight for free, in my opinion. But
yeah, so the reason I wanted to start off with DAZN is it's interesting how this happens. And I think we're good here at walking the line, the balance, right? Compartmentalizing, unpacking stuff, unpacking false narratives while still talking about boxing. But what happens, and people miss this, is I in particular am seen as a PBC hater, but I try to explain to people what's going on. Notice how we can start the show and we can talk bad about DAZN and what they're doing. And also, I want to warn people, we're starting off negative, but that's not taken away from the positive. A lot of things, older guys who do boxing channels focus on the negative, never the positive, never big up any of the current fighters. We don't do that here either. But at the same time, we need to reel people in, right? And saying, yeah, you think this is a great year of boxing, but guess what? We still don't have the foundation underneath us, so it's not going to be sustainable. We still got a huge issue with inactivity. And it's like the abusive relationship, right? That we always talk about. The guy for 5 years walks in the door and he gets home from work, drinks a beer, and then starts slapping his wife around. And then one day she decides to leave. And this guy wants her back. And he's saying, well, I've been good for 5 weeks. I haven't hit you. I haven't done anything to you. I haven't been abusive. And she takes him back. And then what happens? He starts abusing her again. We need to see more data. We need to see more years of these guys putting on good fights before we start to praise them, correct? And on top of that, notice how we can lead off the show talking bad about DAZN. But I want you to notice something. When I leave tweets about DAZN and the negativity surrounding DAZN, Matchroom, Top Rank, Golden Boy, I never get back these style. They never come back.
Arab doesn't come after you, like at all.
They don't come at. The only type of pushback I get is from the Tyson Fury fans at times, but they never push back. And when they do, it's generally decent behavior they're pushing back with. It's never the vitriol. But when I say something negative about Showtime or PBC, oh my God.
It's a different energy, yeah.
It's a different energy altogether. But I want people to know.
Cobra Kai comes out, right? The Cobra Kai in them comes out.
But the problem is you have these guys who pretend to be neutral, right? And they're looking at this and they're like, oh, look at both sides are so bad of this. And look at this guy. And then they're not seeing the shadow campaigns that are being run, the marketing campaigns that are being run behind the scenes of network execs, promoters, sending people after you, them with their intimidation tactics, sending people after you, them following you for the purpose, the sole intent of intimidating you from saying certain things. But I got Top Rank, Golden Boy guys following me in the business, and I never get anything. I never get any pushback from them. When Eddie responds to me on Twitter, my guy Trust Fund Eddie, guess what? It's always humorous. He always hits me back with something humorous, a wink emoji. He's done it 3 separate times. And it's like, all right, I got you, Eddie. You're listening to consumer, and that's fine. And it stays there. But these dudes, oh my God. Oh my God. They cannot take any, and it's part of the marketing campaign, right? They have a low risk, high reward model that they built. And in order to keep that sustainable, they have to push back on anybody who shines a light on that. They have to do it. And that's where this comes into play. And then they intimidate people into not speaking on it at all. So I can start off the show with DAZN. And then there's not going to be any DAZN heads, Matchroom heads, Golden Boy heads coming after me and sending people after me. It's not going to be that type of energy. But I want people to at least see that we do it. We criticize across the board, and it looks like we're doing it more with the PBC. Why? Because these beefs, these skirmishes are magnified times a million because of the energy that comes back this way. And you have to decide at some point, do you push back on that or do you just leave it alone? I've decided I'm leaving that alone, mostly on Twitter, and I'm coming to YouTube with it. You're going to see a lot more content on YouTube from me. You're going to see a lot more content on YouTube from me. The Twitter energy is or the X energy, right? It's called X now, is sort of taken away from my.
Did they name that after the show?
Yeah. And the creative energy is going to be sent here now. It's going to be sent here now. And we're still going to talk about what we always talk about. But yeah. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that whole scenario.
But first, yes, X, the artist formerly known as Twitter, still out there. But like, here's the thing: Elon Musk is a big fan of HCPX, and he was inspired and just renamed the whole app. Right. You know, so it is what it is. They named the whole app after us. You know, but all bullshit aside. Before somebody listens to that, oh, that guy thinks he's all that. He really believes that they named the app after the show. Like some idiot's gonna come out and say, "Watch." But like, here's the thing: Espinosa could go fuck himself. How about that? All right. Like, and I don't give a shit saying, "Oh, these style, you gotta be." I don't gotta be shit. I'm a boxing fan. I'm not a executive with Showtime Sports. Espinosa was liking tweets of a motherfucker calling me a racist Mexican. So Espinosa will go fuck himself. Is all I care about. Like, it's as simple as that. You want to be liking tweets from trolls that tweet anti-Semitic shit? You want me to send that to the executives at Paramount, motherfucker? You better lay off those likes. That's all I got to say. And then anybody could go ahead and tell them that, because I don't fear shit. I ain't worried about shit. I ain't worried about no job. I ain't worried about, getting fired. I'm not worried about not getting credentialed. They could go suck a dick for all I care. I don't give a fuck. It's as simple as that. I'm a proud boxing fan. And you know what? I don't give a shit. Well, even with all that said, if Espinosa does something good, I'll still give him praise for it, because I don't base shit based off who I like or don't like and relationships in a fucking business or none of that, okay? I owe shit to myself, all right? And I'm here to express my opinions and the way, my perspective, and if you guys could resonate with it, because I do believe that there's boxing fans that resonate with our message. That I do believe. Boxing fans are tired of being lectured to. They're tired of being told that their opinion doesn't matter, and that it doesn't matter what you fans want anyway. The dudes in the suits, those that know the business, are going to do what they do. And you got boxing fans here acting like now they're part of the business, right? Like now they're on the inside, and they're this and they're that. We understand the business, and you know what it is? I learned the business of boxing so I could weaponize it against the business of boxing. Because the business of boxing is not friendly towards a boxing fan. Okay? I keep having to hear dudes say shit like, oh, they got to stop catering to these boxing fans. They cater to the casuals, and that's where the money's at. You know what? Fuck you. We're the fucking lifeline of the sport as boxing fans, what we are. Right? And then when pay-per-views don't succeed, who they blame? Us. A pay-per-view doesn't do well. Oh, you boxing fans, you're the reason, and you're the worst in the world. Ain't nobody required to be a fucking boxing fan. Nobody is required to watch this fucking sport. It's not the law to watch this sport, all right? There are millions of entertainment options, including other sports, that we could go to and watch. We're choosing to stay boxing fans, so don't bring the boxing fans for shit. Anybody who does that is a sellout piece of shit. That's it. You're a sellout if you do that, all right? And he's going to go unnamed, but the reporter that was tweeting out some dumb shit, shout out to Luna Tune Boxing, okay, who made the graphic for us. Shout out to him, all right? Make sure you follow him. A lot of fighters use his content, rightfully so. It's a great artist, okay? This is all he did. He put out some cartoons that he did in the last few years of just funny ones, like Crawford looking into the window, want to go in and play video games with all the other fighters from PBC while they're playing video games inside against each other, but they're leaving them out in the cold. And that's all he did. Just little memes like that. Al Heyman having a fish hook, keeping Crawford away from the other belts, and just just funny stuff that nobody should take that serious. It's not that serious. It's a cartoon. It's a cartoon. Stupid idiot. Another snot-nosed. I'm better than the fans because I'm a reporter and a fucking pencil neck motherfucker like. I know the business of boxing. Shut the fuck up. Hey, nobody goes to school. Nobody gets a bachelor's on the business of boxing. It's not that complicated. So shut the fuck up. Here's the deal, okay? The dude tweets out here. He quote tweets him. Yeah, but what you fans don't understand is that Top Rank was not going to fork out the money for Crawford to fight these dudes. Learn the business of boxing before, or don't speak at all. Like shut the fuck, trying to tell fans what to do and what to say, but then demanding the fans to buy fights and shit. We got dudes that used to own fucking fire sticks and shit. They were team streaming, and now shout out to Bruce Gossett. Bruce Gossett's been consistent. Bruce Gossett's like, I stream the shit. I don't give a fuck. Right? So shout out to him. But now you got guys being all lecturing and shit, like, buy the fight. Shut up, you fucking sellouts. Like this reporter. Look. This dude, he gets a quote tweet from Nosley, Mr. Noseman, Mr. Potato Head, right? Mr. Leonard Allerby, biggest fan of the show. I know you're watching, Leonard, but here's the thing. Mr. Ankle Holder, that's all you ever did at training camps, all right? That's all you ever fucking did. Dude talking about, like, when Floyd beat somebody, when we beat you, Oscar, like, man, you didn't do shit. The fuck you talking, we? Oh, when we beat Shane Mosley, when we beat Pacquiao, you didn't do shit. You held his ankle while I did sit-ups. Right? That's all you fucking did. All right? But here's the thing. Dude quote tweets him, and he's like, yeah, they'll never understand. Like he's like co-signing what the dude's saying. I know you saw my tweets, Leonard. I know you saw when I posted what Crawford made against what Porter made against Crawford versus what he made against Spence on PBC. He made double, Calix. He made double the purse. Mm-hmm. Top Rank didn't have money to fork out. What Top Rank offered to do the fight. We'll pay Crawford, you pay Spence, and we'll do it just like they did with Fury versus Wilder. Same way, right? They had the money for it. But that's just one example of a kiss ass, okay? He's been a fucking kiss ass, right? To keep his fucking credentials with PBC, and that's what a lot of these guys do. They kiss ass, and then when they see that a lot of these dudes are acting foul, they look away, and they pretend like the shit's not happening. They could be saying some anti-Semitic shit. Oh, what? I didn't see that. What? The Jews, what? Like, all of a sudden, they don't see nothing. All of a sudden, see no evil. All of a sudden, it's like, come on, guys. It's just, it's all fun and games. It's boxing. It's a fight business, right? Fuck you, all right? That is my message. They could go fuck themselves. It's as simple as that, bro. They got nothing on me. Nothing. I don't need this sport to make money. Like, I don't need this sport to make a living. They can't hold that over my fucking head, all right? Like, point blank, period. But guess what? I'm done looking the other, because I can't preach about looking the other way, right? When they do it, but to a certain degree, I'm done looking the other way for reporters in the industry, people in the industry that look to guys like us to voice out on this shit. And when we voice out on this shit, like they're just silent as a motherfucker. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm done. Like, that's it. I'm done with this shit. You either speak out or stop being fucking chills or don't look to me for shit. It's as simple as that.
Yep. 100% cosign. And so we talked about DAZN, the schedule. But, sort of wrap it up on the Anthony Joshua situation. This is one of the issues, too, is they've artificially priced the market so high. And you can't speak out about that either, right? Because then you're anti-fighter. But the issue is the Saudis. The Saudis will give us big heavyweight fights, I do believe in December, January. I do believe that's going to happen. But the issue with it is this: they're pricing these fights so high, and these fighters are going to come to expect that type of payment for each fight. And at the same time, these fights are taking so long to develop in making that we have to do fights like Anthony Joshua versus Dillian White, Tyson Fury versus Ngannou. You know, they're taking so long that the fighter either waits for the big fight or takes a quick tune-up, a marination fight, right? Because a marination fights, and we'll speak on that later on in the show, with the marination fights, they can't be risky. They can't be risky because you can't run the big payday that's coming. So it's sort of a WWE type fight where we all know it's going to happen. But it's taking too long. And even after we get these big fights, say December, January, when do we get them again? When do we see these guys in big fights again? Is it going to take another 12 to 18 months to get it? That's where we're at, number one. And number two, I don't know what's going to happen with this Saturday. I'm all for late replacement, whoever that may be. People are crapping on the Andy Ruiz thing. If Andy Ruiz wants to fight and he's willing to fight it at a reasonable price, make it. I'm all for that trilogy over whatever else they're going to give us as a late replacement. Go make that one.
Fee, fi, fo, fum. The land of the Giants has been very, very disappointing this year, hasn't it? Like, it's been a big year for boxing, like overall. The zone has to catch up, to be honest, right? But
yeah,
but so do the heavyweights. I mean, it's been a very disappointing year. Traditionally, the heavyweights have been the division that doesn't fight as often, which makes sense. They're taking harder hits or whatnot, but it's even more so now. And I don't know what to make of the cancellation of the White fight. I guess Chisora's going to step in. Nobody really wants to see that. I just think they should have all just waited for December to make these fights. Is what I think. Like just wait for the Saudis and go do the fights over there. That's what they should have done. If I'm Anthony Joshua, I say, you know what, fuck this shit. I'll just wait. I'll do the Wilder fight later in the year. That's it. That's what I would do.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that. Not? It would take it just takes too long to develop. And I'm of the opinion at this point, I think it's clear as day to me now that the heavyweight division as it is currently, the current fighters that are in it, I think the media has tried to do a job in trying to get people to believe that this division is better than it actually is. I've never felt like this division is a really good division. I think it's a decent division, a decent crop of fighters, and there are marketable fighters at the top who are fun to watch if you put them in there with each other, right? And that's intriguing. And that's enough. That's enough for me. But I think there's been a campaign out there to make this division look more valuable than it actually is. I just think this is an overvalued division. I think these fighters are overvalued as fighters as far as talent level. And I think we're clearly seeing that right now. I just don't think it's that good of a division.
Yeah, they get the benefit of being heavyweights. That's what it is. Like if we had the same talent pool like this and like at flyweight, like nobody would care about the flyweight division right now. You know what I mean? Like if we had a bunch of inactive flyweights and none of them were fighting each other, like there would be no reason to watch the flyweights. But it's the way it is. It's just that it is the historic glamour division. It's the big guys, and that's the only reason they're getting any attention right now.
Yeah. I started to get some wind last week that Benavidez versus Andrade was likely in the works for November pay-per-view. And it's being reported now that that's likely going to be the fight. So this is my
pay-per-view.
What I've learned is you have to be nuanced with your take. And even if you are, you still get criticized for it. You could have the most level-headed take. So this is my take on it. And I'll break it down point by point. And then you can push back on any of it if you don't feel like you agree with any of it. But this is my take on it from the YouTube community page. Benavidez versus Boo Boo Andrade being rumored. Some pros and cons to possible matchup. Pros, 2023 would be a good year for Benavidez if he beats Plant and Andrade. And I'm not moving the goalpost like the Canelo haters do. I'm not. I think it's a good year if Benavidez fights his fight and beats Plant and Andrade. It's a good year. Notice how easy that is. It's a good year. Andrade's career has been forgetful. Beating Benavidez would finally give him a win to write home about. He's 35 and time is running out. If people want to push back on that, feel free. Every fighter around 168's sole existence the past few years has been landing a shot at Canelo. For years, these fighters just waited for the Canelo payday. We've been over that. The cons are this. Now, put the cons second. It's a pay-per-view, D-Style. This is a pay-per-view. They moved the goalpost on pay-per-views. Benavidez versus Boo Boo Andrade is just not a pay-per-view quality fight. And they'll even tell you that there's no such thing as pay-per-view quality. There are different reasons you put pay-per-view fights on pay-per-view. No. If you're telling us to pay extra, there's a quality. It changes the dynamic of it. There's a quality that we expect. I said that about Jake Paul years ago when they were saying, a couple years ago when they were saying, yeah, look at Jake Paul's opponents. They're similar to any fighter that's 0-0. Fair enough, but these fighters who are 0-0 are not fighting on pay-per-view. There's a different quality that we've come to expect with the pay-per-view fight, and I think that's fair enough. It puts the burdens on the fans. The fans have to pick up the tab. The quality of Showtime Championship Boxing and ShowBox has taken a hit in the process because there is no Showtime Championship Boxing and ShowBox quality anymore because all of the quality fights are going towards the pay-per-views. There's no more quality on ShowBox and Showtime Championship Boxing. And notice how I put all in caps. All promoters, networks need to figure out a model that is less expensive for boxing consumers. Don't hold your breath. All. For those who will say, oh, here he comes, the PBC Showtime, and they're already coming at me. All. Andrade is not Morrell Jr. Whether Benavidez's camp likes it or not, this will be considered a duck move by some, including Morrell Jr.'s camp. Team Benavidez signaled that Morrell Jr. was next. It's their doing. And when Canelo signed with PBC, the tune started to change, and it did. Morrell Jr. is considered by many to be the tougher fight. I think that's the truth. This may be a harsh assessment. Notice that, a harsh assessment. I think it's harsh, but it will be out there. That's just my assessment of it. Very nuanced. I think fair. What do you think of it?
Well, even when you were talking about it right now, I was like nodding my head the whole time. Like, yeah. Like before the when you first were mentioning it, and when you said pay-per-view, I was like, wait, what? wait, what? Like that's the thing. Like they got you, and then like, oh, yeah. Another fight I got to fork out $80 for. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, what? The only ones that are going to buy this fight are the hardcore boxing fans. That's it.
Yeah.
Nobody else is going to buy this fight. The casuals ain't going to buy it. The social media dudes that like the social media shit aren't going to buy it. Okay, grandmas ain't going to buy it. Teenagers ain't going to buy it. Hardcore boxing fans are going to buy this fight. And when it fails on pay-per-view, who's going to get blamed? The hardcore boxing fan. This is the weird, like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, fans don't want to support the real fights. But we're the only ones buying it. What are you talking about? It's like stupid. Like, people that say that are just stupid or just shouldn't tell business of boxing. Just to stay away from it. It's not your thing. But here's the thing. This fight, just do it on fucking Showtime. Like, what are we doing here? Even if you quote unquote lose money, right? The investment, right? The long-term investment is getting as many eyeballs as possible on Benavidez, right? Or even Andrade if he pulls off the upset. Get as many eyeballs on the fight. And then the investment is what's next year, Calix? Cinco de Mayo. The winner fights Canelo. Or Mexican Independence Day next year. the winner fights Canelo, like, and you're gonna make your money back, assuming that fight's gonna be a success next year. I just don't understand. Other than there's only one reason why this is probably going to be on pay-per-view, if it is. Andrade and Benavidez want way too much money, and it would deplete their budget, which is already limited, right? Mm-hmm. So to offset or subsidize as much as possible, they got to put it on pay-per-view. But the reason I'm saying that, because you already know there's going to be some jackass. Oh, these guys don't understand that you got to pay them, and that's why it's a pay-per-view. The business, the books. They're just fucking idiots. Like, I'm talking about it from a fan's perspective. I want as many eyeballs as possible. Okay, because let's say Benavidez goes out there and just annihilates Andrade, right? Mm-hmm. I know what the narratives will be, and I welcome the narratives because they will make the Canelo fight bigger, right? Oh, this is the guy that called out Canelo at the press conference. Remember, Canelo told him, get the fuck out of here. He ducked that guy, but Benavidez fought him and he destroyed him. Oh man, Canelo, he's ducking shit back, bro. Like I want that talk back. If you do it on pay-per-view, only us that already seen Benavidez are gonna watch it.
Less eyeballs.
Like, we've already seen Benavidez. We've already seen Andrade. Okay, you know why it's Andrade? Because everybody dreads watching the dude fight, right? And I'm going to be so pro Benavidez in this fight. I want Benavidez to beat the shit out of this dude so bad. I'm going to be Team Bandera Roja. I'm going to be waving that shit the whole night. All right, but that's all I wanted to say for now.
But when you say that, because I've had the power brokers tell me this on Twitter or on X, we have to do this fight or on pay-per-view, or else you're not going to see your favorite fighter. So stop complaining. Do you want to see your favorite fighter? Stop complaining and pick up the tab. And it's like, you just want to tell them, why do I always have to pick up the tab? For your crappy business model. I'm picking up the tab. This isn't a pay-per-view fight, fellas. But let's start off with the positive. Benavidez beating Plant and Boo Boo in the same year is a good year. It is a good year. It's also good that we're getting movement other than Canelo in the division. Finally, somebody is saying, okay, I'll go fight the fights. All right, I'll go do it. Benavidez beating Plant and then Boo Boo in the same year does that, right? It does it. It's a good win. And this is a good fight. To HLD's point, on the surface, it's a good fight. But I'm just warning the Benavidez fans, and you did this. This is your own doing. And one of the reasons your own doing is he's under the same banner, so people have blown Morrell Jr. into something that now the Benavidez fans are saying, changing their tune. No, he's not that. He's only got 9 fights. And first of all, Boo Boo Andrade, dude, he's been around for a decade, and there's still not much of a gap, if there is any, between what he's achieved and Morrell Jr. at this point. Let's just be honest at what we're seeing. Come on. Okay, but now the process starts to where you have to push Morrell Jr. back down and say he's only got 9 fights. He's only this, he's only that, in order to prop up this fight, Boo Boo Andrade. And what I'm telling you is, had you not started the whole campaign of we're going to fight Morrell Jr., we're going to fight Morrell Jr., we're going to fight Morrell Jr., then this wouldn't even be discussed. We weren't even talking about Morrell Jr. But I know, I've learned this over the years. I know the power brokers first will tell you who they value more as fighters. I know they're going to signal that to you. And when they started to talk about Morrell Jr., I say, why are they doing that? And Base the Kid is telling me, he's like, they're getting to him early. Okay, that makes sense. But when Canelo signs with the PBC, what happens? The Morrell Jr. talk starts to get swept under the rug. And I'm like, oh, there it is. They're going for an easier fight. And who's the easier fight? Stylistically, age-wise, I think it's Boo Boo Andrade. He's a mover, and he's a 35-year-old mover who has never been in this type of fight. I think it's the easier fight. I'm not going to call it a duck. I'm not going to move the goalpost. All I'm saying is that talk is going to be out there, and that's your own doing. It's your own doing. Let me get to these super chats real quick. Edwin Castillo, menstrual monster, been a duck ass, taking PBC, easy road. That'd be true if been a duck ass did.
But there's only one monster in boxing. He's at 122 pounds.
His name is Inoue, and he's from Japan. He's the Japan monster. That's the only monster.
How is it? There's already a dude with a nickname monster, and then like, oh, you're just gonna add something to I'm the Mexican monster. Like,
right?
What are you doing?
But it's on the surface. It's a good fight on the surface. All I'm saying is it's deeper than that, and you shouldn't have been calling out Morrell Jr. And now Morrell Jr.'s team is going to be very vocal. I already know that's going to happen, and then you're going to have people saying, "Oh, he's taking the easier fight." But it's a good fight, and it doesn't belong on pay-per-view. This does not belong on pay-per-view. My God.
Like if the fight they marinated for 5 years, apparently, right? If you believe that, I never believed that, by the way. I just think Samson just said that. But I just think they do holdouts at PBC, and they wait for a name to come about, and then they feed those holdouts to the name, right? That's what they do. That's what they're doing with Canelo right now. They're just feeding whoever. Like they were ready to feed Spence to him, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. But I just imagine if Plant Benavidez was not on pay-per-view, because it only did like I'm hearing it 150 or less than 100,000. Either way, it's not good, right? It's you barely scratch the surface of the money that you paid those two guys with that. You might as well just put it on Showtime, right? And gotten some return investment out of it, right? What's the return investment? It would have had more eyeballs, more people would have watched it, okay? Because when the fight's on regular Showtime, Alex, I went to a family gathering right after the Raleigh fight, and I was having family members that rarely watch boxing tell me, "Oh, do you see that old man beating up that young dude called Raleigh?" Right? Like, you know, so like imagine how many people would have seen Plant. I'm not saying it's a lot, but like, let's say it just did 700,000 viewers, right? Just let's be even that's a lot nowadays, but let's just say it did that. I think it would have done around that. That's 700,000 televisions instead of less than 100,000. More people would have seen Benavidez. The hype would have grown, right? And more people would have been calling for the Canelo fight. There would have been more pressure for the fight. There would have been more enthusiasm for the fight. And then us hardcore boxing fans don't get blamed when that pay-per-view doesn't do any numbers, right? So, because we're told this. Oh, you fans are stupid. You don't understand the business of boxing. Samson has been marinating this fight for 5 years to build a big, successful blockbuster event, right? You fans are dumb. And then the event flops. Who gets blamed? You stupid boxing fans didn't buy the fight, and it failed. It's your fault. No, stop blaming the consumer when your shit fails. Yep. Nobody wanted to buy it. Nobody knew about it. Okay, nobody felt the marination process. Okay, you only make the fight happen. Canelo already took the other dude's O, and Plant had no choice but to do the fight.
And stop being snarky about. You're putting more on the consumer, and then you're snarky about it. And anytime a consumer comes after your model, instead of saying, yeah, you got a point there, we'll try hard, even if you're not going to do it, we'll try harder next time. They bash the consumer publicly. We're just consumers at the end of the day. That's it. But I wanted to highlight, this is why I brought this whole graphic up, is these style. I can put this whole nuance comment. I can put pros first, and I specifically put more pros than cons because I can find more cons in there. I specifically put pros first, more pros, cons, left out some cons. And then what are they going to focus on? The ones that have the attention span to read the whole thing is Morrell Jr. Do you think that the anti-Canelo, and this is the funny part about it, is the Benavidez fans are starting to get a taste of their own medicine. But do you think that they have it in their heart to name the pros of stuff that Canelo's doing out there? They don't. They don't. They don't. They're not going to do it.
Well, maybe
They're
now.
just going to focus on negative, negative, negative. And I'm saying I'm not going to move the goalpost on your fighter. Dude, we've already said, both of us, Benavidez is already there to fight Canelo. We don't need more. He's there. We're trying to explain to you and unpack to you why it's not happening next. You don't want to listen. But also, this is a good year for your fighter. It's a good year for your fighter. There are some cons about this. You're not going to sit there and act like this is all good. It's all great. It's not. Pay-per-view.
Yeah, but if you listen to the cons, though, all our cons are coming from a good place. Like we're offering, like, in other words, a lot of times when guys bash Canelo, they're just blindly doing it. They're like blindfolded and just shooting. They're just shooting blanks, hoping one of them connects, right?
Mm-hmm.
The con, specifically the con with it being on pay-per-view, like, we're not just saying it's a con just to be dicks and like let's just be realistic, right? All bullshit aside, right? Despite what Samson was saying that Benavidez is the new sheriff in town, he owns Vegas now, and that Benavidez is the new pay-per-view star, and he's taking over the Mexican fan base from Canelo, and people were giving away tickets for the Gennady Golovkin fight with Canelo, which is not even true. That event did 18 million at the gate. I mean, whatever, right? But despite all that, I live in a world of reality, not narratives. The reality is Benavidez is not a big pay-per-view star. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But and the reason it's a con that it's on pay-per-view is because no one's going to watch it. I want Benavidez to become a star. I want Benavidez to have eyeballs. It's coming from a good place.
We want the PBC to have a good, sustainable model. We want it. We want Showtime to have a more clear, concise, tiered product, much like Top Rank ESPN. That's what we want. That's what we want. And calling it out isn't bad. Why?
Like the con, like it's one, like I always ask people, if you give me a con or a negative, well, what's your solution? They can never tell me what it is. And somebody tells me, why are you bashing this being on pay-per-view? We're giving you the reasons why. That's all. You could disagree, but we're giving you the reasons why.
But why? My argument, what makes this a quality pay-per-view fight? What? Because there's a such thing as a pay-per-view fight. When you slap the extra charge on it, that means you're expecting more. They can try to frame it all they want, that no, we're just trying to make this fit. And if you want to see your favorite fighter fight, then we're gonna have to do this. No. You need to build a more sustainable model and stop putting more of the onus, stop putting more of the weight on us buying your product.
Like, look, and here's why I kind of had a little bit of pushback on DAZN's going to have to overpay some. We got to get off of the overpaying fighters model, because in the long run, it always sucks for us. If fighters could get overpaid, but we were getting all the fights, like, you wouldn't even hear me talk about it. I wouldn't give a shit. Like, I'll be like, yeah, okay, whatever. You got overpaid, but I love that fight though. And then we got that fight after this. But the reality is, if you overpay fighters, okay, to fight a nobody, you're gonna have to pay them more when you want them to step up. Okay? Like I still hear this. Like, you and I have been very fair to Devin Haney about his going to Australia and beating Cambozas.
Yep.
However, some people are acting like the guy went out there and like did something like unprecedented. Like he did, like he sacrificed so much. Like they talk about it like, like, yeah,
he went to the moon.
Yeah, like he did, like he cured cancer or something. Like it's amazing. Like, oh, you had to go out there and he took a big pay cut. Well, they call him the email champion. He had to deal with that. He had to go to Australia, and then he took a pay cut. And he was making so much money, and they robbed him of all his money just so he could get the shot. So take 20%, Shakur. Look at what he did. No, Devin Haney was an overpaid dude on the zone. Mm-hmm. He didn't generate that money. He was a subsidized fighter. Could have fell out of an arena. That's just, again, I live in reality. I deal with the data. What data do you have to show me that Devin Haney is this big draw? He wasn't. He was overpaid on the Zone. When the Zone no longer wanted to pay him that money, all right, Top Rank made him an offer. Well, I tell you what, you want to fight Composers? We'll do a 2-fight deal, 3-fight deal, whatever, right? And guess what? He went ahead. He went to Australia. He still made millions of dollars. Like, oh, he got lowballed. No, like, they had a budget. This is what we could pay you, and that's it. Like this idea that he took a pay cut based on what? He made less in his previous fight. True. This was actually for a belt, but he was getting paid a lot of money. And the email thing, some of you fans are acting like this guy was treated like Jack Johnson. Okay, but like you know what I mean? Like they're acting like this dude was treated the way fucking Crawford was treated at welterweight. Like, but why would they have to call him? He had to deal with getting called email champion. Oh my God. He never beat anybody for the fucking belt. He was upgraded to that belt. Like, what are you talking about? He was never a mandatory like that. Ever. Now, do I disagree with Lomachenko asking to be franchised? Yes, because it caused a whole fucking mess. If he didn't do that, we wouldn't have the mess. But he's not this victim that the dudes are putting out here like that. He's not. And you know what? He's going to get a bag against Prograis, but he's just going to get, like, he's going to get a lot of money for it. Like, boxing has been really good to Devin Haney. Devin Haney, in his early 20s, is a multi-millionaire. I think the sport of boxing has been very nice to Haney because his fans didn't make him a millionaire. You all never show up to his fights.
Yeah.
You didn't buy his pay-per-view with Loma. It only did like $150,000 or some shit. You didn't buy his fight. Okay, even though they brought down the price, you don't show up to his fights. You're nowhere to be found at his weigh-ins. All right? So you motherfuckers didn't make him shit. The sport of boxing made this guy a multi-millionaire. So spare me this whole, like, I'm tired of boxing fans. Okay, going a little overboard with the protecting of the fighter and how you guys need to understand everything Haney went through, and Shakur needs to take 20% because Haney did it. Haney took, like, just stop. Like, enough. It's getting old, bro. Okay, and just really quick, since I'm on it, I'm sorry, Calix, I got to do it. Prograis. Like, I ain't feel sorry for you because you struggle to make weight and like what's that all? Are you, so what? Are you going to move up then or what? Then move up. Move up to 147. If it's that unhealthy and you're almost killing yourself to make 140 like that,
yeah,
don't show us the fans and try to make us like, what are you trying to do? Make us feel bad? Like, oh, I see. And then you have like the righteous fan. This is a new thing. I don't know what it is, Calix. Like, I never grew up amongst righteous boxing fans. I never grew up around them. Like, they're so righteous. You know what I mean? Like, oh, see, and you guys want to get on fighters when they don't make weight. How dare you? Look at everything they go through. If it's that bad, then move up. We have multiple divisions. All right? We have multiple divisions. Like, I'm tired of the righteous boxing fan, bro. I'm tired of the righteous, fighters never duck. Under no circumstance will they feel fear. Are you kidding me? You know how many boxers I've talking to me about fear? Like, are you kidding me right now? George Foreman said, yeah, I was scared of Joe Frazier. Right? That changed that once we were actually fighting in the ring, but I was scared of him going into that ring. What, is he a liar? Who would lie about that, Cal? Who would lie about, oh, yeah, I was scared going into the ring? Okay, it's like I ended up dominating, but still, going into that ring, I was scared of that man, right? And I could go countless. Stop being a righteous boxing fan. Look, I have a lot of respect for these fighters. These fighters put a lot on the line for our entertainment, okay? These fighters sacrifice a lot. They do, right? But guys like Devin Haney, Prograis have made millions in this sport, all right? So spare me your sob stories. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, so I want to talk real quick about, piggyback on some of your comments. There's a protection program for fans, right? As far as certain advisors, networks, promoters, and fighters as well. The fighter thing makes more sense than the other stuff because why are you worrying about protecting suits? But it's still weird, right? Especially when you're older and you're capping for younger guys who are younger than you. As far as Haney, and we can use him as an example, right? Is overall, I like how Bill has managed his career. I think Devin has taken some risks that other fighters haven't at the division tank. And notice how in that long statement I put at the very end that it's going to be viewed as by some as a duck. Why do I say that? Is we have, unfortunately, an American boxing base that can't compartmentalize things and can't critically think and can't think things through. So it's the same with Devin Haney. And Devin Haney's now in a position, and he's asked for this bigger position in which wherever avenue he goes, he's going to be criticized. And when he moves up to 140, he's going to be viewed as a duck of 135 pounders. If he were to stay at 135 and shrink his body down, he'd be viewed as a guy who's ducking 140. He's just in that position now to wherever he goes, it's going to be wrong. But he's also opportunistic. And I say that because I'll praise Devin Haney and then I'll have guys come at me and say, you're giving him too much growl and stuff. He's opportunistic. I saw them celebrate when Kambosos beat Teofimo, and I know why. I know why they went to agreed to go to Australia twice and then top rank deal, all that stuff. They saw it as an easy title. They're opportunistic at the same time. So you can't have your cake and eat it too. And it also goes with Regis Prograis. You know I'm a Regis Prograis fan. Why am I a Regis Prograis fan? He grew up 5 minutes from me. Okay, so that's the way it is. But I always say you can't bend the truth around your favorite fighters. Regis Prograis has made some poor business decisions in the past. I don't think this one he's currently in is a poor decision. I think it was actually the smart decision. But in the past, he has made some poor decisions that have gotten him out of possibly some bigger fights. And notice how I can say that, and that's so easy to do, right? But when he's doing this on Twitter, if he's doing it just to show this is what fighters go through, these are sacrifices we make, fair enough. On the surface, fair enough. It looks pretty bad. And that's what we've been saying, by the way, is guys shouldn't be draining themselves like that. It's not natural. It's bad. And it leads to all of the ills we see in boxing. But what he's trying to do is garner sympathy, right? And I hate that I have to call him out on this, but he's trying to garner sympathy in that I had a terrible outing. Terrible outing. He had a terrible outing. And I was the first one to say it. Zarilla, he looked awful. Zarilla is circling to his power hand. He's circling to Regis Prograis' power hand the whole fight, and Regis Prograis still can't land his power hand. It's terrible. But he's looking for sympathy in that I look that way because of look at what I went through. Well, guess what, Regis? Go up to 147 then. All right, because you're draining yourself. Why? You're draining yourself to get an unnatural advantage against naturally smaller fighters. That's why fighters do it. It's why Errol Spence has been doing it his whole career. But it comes to a certain point where you can't do it anymore, and at that point, you can't whine. The Errol Spence fans out there are out there whining, and Errol's not even whining. Errol's like, I lost to a better man. They're out there whining. Look how weight drained he is. He was weight drained, and then he had to run 5 miles in the heat, and he's got neurological damage because dude, he lost the fight. He's been gaining advantages over naturally smaller fighters by draining himself his whole career. And the one time that advantage doesn't work for him, you can't use it as an excuse. You can't do it. You're not going to get that excuse. Move up.
Like, this is literally like Spence's schedule. Like, Bud wanted to fight him 5 years ago. Like, so you can't use this shit. Like, it's crazy, but here's the thing. It doesn't mean like people like I think this is the word of the day. Nuance. Because I think a lot of perspective and nuance are two things a lot of fight fans don't have, I think. Like they don't like, and I don't mean all boxing fans. I just mean there's a lot of us out there, or you would, not me, but that don't understand nuance and perspective. So yes, I understand the sacrifices fighters make to make weight, and like I get all that. I could empathize with that, but you know what? I'm a consumer, right? And I'm a fan, and I spend thousands of dollars every year on this sport. Okay. every year. When you add it all up with the pay-per-views and with the, you know how many car payments people can make with that, right? It's almost 2 mortgage payments every year, right? When you add it all up, because I don't stream shit. I buy everything. And I'm not saying that because like, if somebody streams something, I don't give a shit. I'm just telling you what I do because I want to support the sport, right? But so I do everything I can to support the sport, right? I don't care. I want the shit working. When your lights go out, what's the first thing in your mind on your mind? Oh fuck. After an hour with no power, you're wondering what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
Right? You want it done. You want your power back. You want the lights back on. Right? You don't want to call let's say you call your the power company. Well, you need to understand, the crew is going through a lot right now. They're going through a lot of problems. They had a flat tire. They're fixing a flat tire right now. So, sir, we appreciate if you could understand. Like, no. I want to hear we're on it. We're working on it. We're going to get this done. We're going to get this fixed. That's what I want to hear. Okay? When you go to a restaurant, you don't want to hear if the chef had a bad day or if the waitress is rude to you, okay, and she tells you, let's say she's rude to you, is cussing you out, and then she goes, I'm sorry, it's because I broke up with my boyfriend. I'm just going through a lot. I don't give a fuck, bitch. I'm here to order my food. You're supposed to be serving me my food. Just do your fucking job. Might sound harsh, but it's the way it is. At my job, I'm expected to do a job. All right?
Yeah.
It's a very precise job that I need to do. And if I fuck up, it's my fuck up. If I'm having a bad day, if I had an argument with Calix here on YouTube and it really got to me, and then I let that spew over at my job, if Espinosa annoyed me so much and then I fuck up at my job, or you know what I mean? I lost money because Jake Paul didn't get the knockout, so I don't give a fuck about my like that's not a thing, bro. Like just. Yeah. Well, this is what I want from boxers. Get it fucking done. All right? It's not all the fourth wall shit that you're breaking, like giving us a sneak peek to make us feel guilty and this and that. What are you telling us? That we shouldn't be watching this dangerous sport because you could die because you're dehydrating yourself? Is that the message you want to put out there?
Mm-hmm.
So let's just ban the whole sport then. Read this. Go find another line of work, okay? Go do construction or something, all right? When I did construction, very dangerous job depending on what I'm doing, okay? I wasn't looking for sympathy and I put my life on the line, so I could get this roof done. It was a very steep roof. I could fall and I could break my head because you want shingles on your roof so your roof doesn't leak. Thank me. Like, no, it's not the way life works, bro, okay? Every time you put gas in your vehicle, you're expecting gas in the vehicle, right? Like oil rigging is a very dangerous job, right? People die doing it all the time, right? Fishing, very dangerous job, right? Ain't nobody like out here making us feel guilty because we're eating fish or because we're putting fucking gas in our tank, okay? Like it is what it is. Stop it. Just stop. I get it. I could empathize to a certain degree, but I don't need to see you a month later tell us that you were very dehydrated and insinuate that that's why you didn't look good in your fight. Because that's really what you're doing. I don't need to see that.
It's weak. Let's call it what it is. It's weak. It's excuse
How can you call a fighter weak? I never see you in the ring. It's always a dude that never been in the ring either, saying shit like that. Mm-hmm. Right?
And I'm a fan. And I'll continue to be a fan. And I've stated why. 5 minutes. I mean, it is what it is, but I'm not gonna play that game. I'm not gonna, see, weight drain. No. You agreed to it. 140, go make it. And maybe I leave this out there though, D-Style. Perhaps he's trying to, maybe they're struggling to get Haney versus Prograis to the finish line. They're on the 1 yard line. Perhaps he's throwing this out there strategically and saying, look at how hard I cut to get down to 140 and trying to lure Haney into saying, perhaps. I don't think that's what it is, but perhaps. I'm just throwing that out there.
Well, but if you do stuff like that, and the whole purpose is to make people believe you're struggling to make weight, then the consequences and the way we're reacting is still justified either way.
True. And I also want to say this before I get your opinion on something. just because I'm saying that Benavidez versus Boo Boo Andrade isn't a pay-per-view quality fight doesn't mean I don't think it's a good win. That's a good win. It's a good win. Andrade hasn't lost. We can think what we think about his resume and all that stuff. He hasn't lost. And Benavidez is going to be the first to try it. And Andrade does have some stylistic advantages over Benavidez. I think he's going to be overwhelmed, but I think he does have some stylistic advantages. So if Benavidez wins this fight against Boo Boo Andrade, guess what I'm going to do after the fight? Especially if he does it decisive. Great year. Great year for Benavidez. But what I'm saying is it's not worth $85 to watch that. That's all I'm saying. It's not worth $85. And what I'm saying is once you get to a certain level, that's why Benavidez fans are starting to find this out. What Canelo goes through on a small degree, just a small degree, and they're still looking thin-skinned out there, is when you fight this guy, it's going to be wrong, especially when you said, I was going to fight this guy first. Now it's going to be wrong. And you got to deal with that. You got to deal with it. You can't have thin skin. You got to deal with it. I'm just warning you. So that's the cons of that fight. But Floyd Mayweather was out there saying earlier that I forgot what to give him credit where it was, but he's saying that Spence should move all the way up to 160 and 160, even 168. Do you think that's something that Spence should be doing? Because I've thrown it out there. There's a dead end for him at 154, and it's Bud Crawford, obviously. The Mel fight's going to be hard to make because Mel's got other things going on, and on top of that, same camp. So there's eventually a dead end there. He could get a title at 154, but there's eventually a dead end. I'm starting to think that 160 may suit Errol Spence Jr. better because it's a weaker division. I understand those guys are bigger, but it's a weaker division. He can pluck off a belt there. And I think when Mayweather says 168, I think he mentions that for a reason, that maybe perhaps we should stay away from Bud Crawford and the eventual cash out could be Canelo at 168. I still don't think they've done away with that possible scenario in which Canelo can fight Errol Spence at 164. I'm just throwing that out there. I don't think it'll happen, but I don't think they've thrown it out there. But what do you think Errol Spence at 160 would look like? Looking at the landscape.
Look, they haven't put it in the landfill yet, but it's in the trash. You know, so I guess they could go back out to get out of the trash. But look, I think Errol Spence is going to go to 154. I think that's what he's going to do. There are fights for him there. I know Chicano texted me yesterday. Lubin is going to be fighting Ramos on the undercard of the Canelo fight. I think that's a great fight, by the way. I got Ramos on that one, but it's a good fight. And he could fight the winner of that fight. He could fight.
Mendoza's there.
Mendoza's a very winnable fight for him, and he's there.
He win that fight.
He talked a lot of greasy shit about the Tower and Inferno.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, for all the Spence fans, like, why you guys being like this with Spence? Well, Spence was talking shit about him when he got knocked out. It is what it is. It's just, he put him in the dirt. You know what I mean? And then he was making fun of him because he was going the distance with Ocampo. All right. So there's that element. Even remember the Spence fans were feeling themselves because Fedora went the distance with Ocampo.
Yep.
Oh, Spence took care of this dude in one round. Look at this dude struggling. The hype job. Well, maybe you get in the ring with that hype job. You know, that's a fight they could do. Now, granted, all the fights I've mentioned, there's a simple counter to that. But those aren't for titles. At this point, I think if Errol's going to take any risk in the ring, they're going to be for titles. So I do think do not rule out the Tim Tszyu fight because Tim Tszyu wants to fight him, right? I don't know now. I haven't got an update in terms. I haven't seen Tim Tszyu say anything after the beatdown. Whether he wants to fight or not, but I think he might just do it. He might just fight Errol Spence before he does the fight.
Horrible. I think that's a horrible matchup for Spence.
But it'll be for a title, and they'll likely put two titles on the line. But I do think Tim Tszyu's going to fight Mendoza because Mendoza is the interim WBC, so there's a good shot he could become a unified champion with that one fight. And then Crawford might just come in and fight Tim Tszyu. It could go a million ways, but I know you don't want to see it. I don't want to see it either, but I think we're going to get Crawford Spence at 154.
I think we're going to get that too. unfortunately, because I think that could be a career-ending loss for Errol Spence. I think it could be that bad of a beatdown. But that's the first domino that falls, right? Is will he exercise the rematch clause? I tend to think he will. From everything I've been hearing, and you read between the lines, Mel Charlo is saying, I'll eventually fight Bud Crawford after the rematch. And Mel knows Errol. I think the rematch is going to happen. And especially since it was a successful financial fight, but I don't think the second one would be. I just don't. I don't see how people would be interested in watching that again.
No.
But I think they're going to do it because Errol wants it. But the reason I throw up middleweight is I know people could be thinking 2 weight class jump, all that is people. Somebody asked in the chat, what does PBC have at middleweight? Well, they got Danny Garcia, who wants to fight at middleweight. They want to fight for that weird catch weight middleweight belt, right? That Miguel Cotto thing at 155. Danny Garcia, Arislani Lara. I think you're eventually going to get that for a title. And you also have Adames there. Whether they do Adames, I don't know. He's physical, right? Adames is a physical middleweight. But there are fights there too, and there is a title there for Spence to get, particularly if Danny Garcia
worked by Crawford, by the way, in sparring. So
right. But particularly if Danny Garcia gets his hold on a middleweight belt, I think you're going to see Spence versus Garcia for middleweight. There's just something that comes along with that legacy-wise of getting a middleweight title if you're a big name fighter, right? There was something that came along with that.
Used to be, yeah.
When Canelo got there. I think there still is to call yourself a middleweight champion if you already have a name, right? And if you're moving up from another sexy division in welterweight, there's just something that comes along with moving up 2 weight classes from welterweight.
I think I would like to see Crawford. He would be a lightweight, welterweight, and middleweight champion. Like that legacy wise, that would be amazing. I would always say, like, Floyd, fight Martinez. Like you
I
could
wanted
become a
that
middleweight
fight.
champion.
I wanted that fight.
And he wouldn't do it. And all the Floyd fans were like, "Oh, you just want him to lose." Like, you guys have no faith in Floyd. Like, what the? He would have won that fight.
Yep, he would have won that fight.
But they thought there was some, like, when people suspect you have another reason. Like, now you say that, but you really want him to lose. Like it's not that at all. Like, but one battle at a time. A fight that I'm wanting bad as a fight fan, and I don't think we're going to have to wait for it because of both fighters' demeanors, is Tim Tszyu and Crawford. I don't think we're going to have to wait for it. I think that fight is easily makeable, like easily done.
Bud said he ain't doing middleweight. He said his ceiling's 154, and I'm telling you, that's the fight that's been brewing.
He'll do it. He'll do it for the right fighter in one fight. He'll do it.
I said beginning of last year on Twitter, and people I got all kind of hate for this at the time, that Bud versus Mel is a much better fight than Bud versus Spence. Mel's got dragon energy. He just does. And Bud has that too. They're just two dudes. When they walk in the room, the energy completely changes. The temperature of the room changes when guys like Bud and Mel walk in the door. And I never felt that way about Spence. And I think that's a much better fight. I think that's a beautiful fight. But I think the eventual collision course at 154, because Tszyu is going to stay at 154, is Bud versus Tszyu. I think that's special fighter versus budding.
Here's what I think is going to happen. I think Tim Tszyu is going to fight Mendoza. That'll likely be a unification. So Tim Tszyu will be a unified champion. He'll have the WBC, and he'll have the WBO. I will strongly advise Tim Tszyu, if they're going to keep you interim WBC, don't do it. Don't pay the sanction fee. Because you don't need, like Suleiman argues that the WBC helps you get more fight. You don't need the WBC like that, right? If they want 3%, they better make you the full champion, right? And I will relay that message. But
relay it, but also relay that Bud versus Tszyu is grown man business.
Yeah. And here's the thing, and I do think that Bud Spence will fight for at least one, if not two, of the vacant belts, right? And I think Bud will obviously win that fight. I ain't even worried about that. And then I think Tim Tszyu will beat Mendoza, and we got ourselves an undisputed fight just like that.
Mm-hmm.
Crawford, Zoo,
Get it moving
next year.
Get it moving. And Spence meets a dead end at 154. I don't think his business is going to be there. I think Spence, especially if he takes the Bud Crawford rematch, good Lord, that is going to be ugly. And it's going to age him even more so than the first fight aged him in. 154 is not going to be his weight, man. He can get a title there against a Mendoza. He can get a title. He can get his hands on a title, but eventually it meets a dead end with guys like Mel if they were able to do that.
He could get a belt, Alex, but he could get a belt, but he needs to bypass Bud. If he stays stubborn and wants Bud next, he's gonna get fucked up again.
He's gonna get messed up on Bud, Zoo, and Mel if he fought that fight. I'm telling you, it's not. The easiest route for him is to jump the weight class and hope that Danny Garcia gets hold.
You don't make anything of the what's said that Spence gets the best of Charlo in sparring.
No.
I mean,
I think that Dragon energy is going to come out on fight night.
It's a very consistent message that's out there. But
I know, I get it. I get styles make fights and all that stuff, but I'm just telling you, I think Mel gets the better of Spence in a fight. And bangs him up pretty good in a real fight.
Did you see the footage that came out of Charlo? He's like, I don't know who he's telling. Like, now he's trying to do what I already did. I'm gonna dispute it. Like, who are you talking to? I'm like, what is the guy talking to?
I think that was James Harden he was talking to. They were asking him about the fight. They were asking him about the fight. Would y'all fight each other? He's like, I'm going up 2 weight classes and then all that,
Yeah, but here's the thing.
Bud already did it too.
Yeah, and he did it twice, and he's going for the trifecta, bro, which would be historic.
And Bud ain't sticking around for that HLD. He already said he's close to retirement. Somebody asked him about the record a couple months ago, and he said Floyd can have it. You can have it. I'm not sticking around. I'm 35, and he's simply not active enough. HLD. That's the knock on Bud.
Yeah, no,
that's
but here's the thing.
Their knock on him is he's not active enough. He's just not active enough.
He could still do it.
No, he's not going to do it. He's not going to do it. He's going to end at around 45.
I don't know, man. He's in phenomenal shape. He's already 40-0. Let's see if he's not active. But check it out, though. He wasn't that active. But here's the thing. If he does a couple more, he's going to do a couple more before he retires, right? Mm-hmm. So he's going to be at least 44-0, 45-0. And then he's going to think about it. It's going to be like, it's only 5 more fights.
Yeah.
Like money talks, bro. Like if they offer him a deal, he might just take it.
Yeah, maybe.
He might be saying that because they're going to offer him more to do it. You never know.
Possibly. On that note, I got to bounce. We're going to be over on your channel tomorrow night, right? Regular HCP.
Tomorrow we'll have Carcino on. Should be fun.
Carcino will be on too, so we'll talk some welterweight legacy fights, mythical matchups, all that good stuff. So on that note, I'm out.
Peace.
God bless. Peace.